Hi there. I want to share some words of Torah with you about this week's Parsha, Parshas Matos. It's a double Parsha, Matos and M'asei, but we're going to share some words of Torah specifically on the first Parsha. The beginning of chapter 31, Hashem tells Moshe, Nikom nikmas b'nei Yisrael, me'is ha-midyanim. Go take revenge on behalf of the Jewish people from the Midyanim. And Moshe goes and tells the people, let's go take revenge on the Midyan people, but it's Nikmas Hashem, it's the Nikama, it's the revenge of Hashem. So many commentaries speak about the strange change that Moshe made in his presentation versus the way Hashem told him to make it. Rashi, interestingly, comments that anyone opposing Israel is reckoned as opposing Hashem. There seems to be a correlation that when you mess with Klal Yisrael, when you start up with Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people, that in a sense is starting up with Hashem. However, the Oznaim L'Torah, Reb Zalman Sorotzkin, has a slightly different approach. He stresses a different point that we see from this strange kind of a change in the way that Moshe presents it to the Jewish people. He points out that when Klal Yisrael does Hashem's will, then all that Hashem does in the world is for the good of the Jewish people. When all that Klal Yisrael and all the Jewish people is doing is Hashem Shemayim for the sake of heaven, for the purpose of Megad al Kivodo, the purpose of glorifying Hashem, then Hashem responds in kind. And that is that there's a reciprocal relationship. For instance, in our tefillin, which we do in order to glorify Hashem, what does it say? Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. It's our focus is on Hashem. But in Hashem's tefillin, when he reciprocates, what does it say? His focus is Mi ke'amcha Yisrael, who's like you, the Jewish people. When we face up, he faces down. When we turn to him, he turns to us. This principle of godly reciprocity has many practical and philosophical ramifications. But let's take one example. The pasuk, the verse in Mishlei says, in speaking of reciprocal relationships in general, Kamayim haponim laponim. As water reflects a face back to a face, so one's heart is reflected back to him by another. So if in our context, we have a heart, or our heart is moving in a certain direction, and Hashem's heart, so to say, is responding to us, how exactly does his heart respond to us? The Sfas Emes points out that to the degree that we are emotionally involved in performing mitzvos, so too is Hashem, quote unquote, emotionally involved with our welfare. That is, when we're engaged, Hashem is engaged. To the degree that we're engaged emotionally, passionately, for real, where Judaism is alive and real to us, then Hashem is alive and real to us in our life. And it's something that we could sense, something that we could feel, something that's tangible. I went to a Shiva house last night, and the person sitting Shiva told me that his father, who just passed away, shared with him over the years that there are a few times in his life that convinced him that God is real. One example is when he was on the roof of a house and he was falling off and he felt God's hand pushing him back up. Another example, he was in some sort of a slave labor camp during World War II, and he was going on some sort of a march from one camp to another together with a bunch of people, and he felt a hand push him into the bushes on the side of the road. The people that continued that march were never seen from again. Both times, he says, he felt like Hashem was pushing him. He felt a tangible sense of Hashem. The Sfas Emes, the Gerab, was saying that when this perspective applies with our relationship with Hashem as well, that to the degree that we are emotionally involved in performing mitzvahs, so too is Hashem emotionally involved in our welfare. And something that we could feel, something that we can almost touch. May we be zocheh to godly reciprocity in the best of ways. Have a wonderful Shabbos.